Hello and welcome to Zero Cool Gaming and today's hardware review. Today we're going to be reviewing, well, my controllers. I have a few of them. And basically I have them for playing 30 years worth of gaming. So we'll start with my favorite controller, and that would be the one that I use on my PC for games like Devil May Cry, games that require precise button inputs. And the controller I have for that is a Fusion Xbox controller. It is the Pro version with the Pro buttons on the bottom, which allow you to keep two thumbs on your joysticks, and then you have the four buttons, or you can actually program them to be whatever you would like. It could be a couple of directional buttons plus a couple of the push buttons, or all four push buttons is how I have it done. And those are on the bottom for easier access so that you can access all the buttons on the controller at the same time and keep your fingers on the joysticks and you never have to take them off. I love this controller. I keep it in the case and I use it when I need to, and then when I get done I clean it all up and I put it back in the case, and that's just kind of how I keep this controller. It's a good controller. For PS4, well, I'll go ahead and say this. The bane of my existence is wireless controllers. So what I have done is I have essentially replaced all the wireless controllers on my hardware with wired controllers. And I've never had the batteries go out or the controller disconnect ever since I've done that. Keep them wired and they keep connected. Simple as that. So every controller I have today is a wired controller. My PS4 controller, this is the one that I have. It's a nice controller. It has functions on it that I truly don't fully understand yet. I don't understand this push box here. I know if you push it on one side it does one thing, and if you push it on the other it does something else, and sometimes if you drag your fingers across it for certain games it moves the cursor in the game. It's odd for me, so I don't quite grasp it yet, but I'm learning. I've only had a PS4 for a little over a year, so it'll take me a little time, but I'll figure it all out. And then we move on to the PS3 controller. This is the PS3 controller I have. This is more of an ergonomic design than the normal one that comes with the PS3, and I like it. I like the extra long arm grabs on it that it has. It makes for nicer controls, or easier controls. I don't know how to explain that, but it's more comfortable in your hands is what I'm getting at. Then we'll move on down to the PS2 controller. I have a standard PS2 controller that has the rumble in it. I always turn the rumble off. I've never liked the rumble thing, but they're good controllers. I like the fact that the buttons are positional on the PS2 controller, depending on how far I know there's not a lot of travel time there, but there is travel time, and a half button is different than a full button push. I don't know why they did it that way exactly, but I just know that they do. But there's a few games where it's actually come in handy. And then we move to the standard PS1 controller. I've got a couple of these. I like them. They're not all that ergonomic. My hands start to hurt after a while with these controllers. I don't really know what the difference is, how they changed it from this to this. I think it's just because it's bigger that it doesn't hurt the hands as much. Not really positive on that, but it is definitely more ergonomic on the PS2 than it was with the standard PS1 controllers. And then we move to my Sega Genesis. I've got the full 6-button controller for my Sega Genesis, just like this one here, and they are not ergonomic at all. This was before ergonomic hardware became a thing, so you just kind of got to deal with what you get in that respect. But still, not a bad controller. Most games on the Sega Genesis only use, the bottom 3 controllers or controller buttons, and the upper 3 for 99% of the games on the Sega Genesis, they're just never used. There are a couple of games that use them though, so it's nice to have. And then we move on to, yes, this is the controller that I used for my Commodore 64, Commodore 128, and the Commodore Amiga. This isn't the connection type that's on the original Commodores, but on the Commodore systems that I have, they connect through USB. So this is a USB style controller for those old games. And it works well. It works just like the old ones did. I have no problems with this. And then we move on to the last controller, which is the Super Nintendo controller. Again, this controller is not ergonomic, just like the last one is not ergonomic, but they work, and they're designed for the games of their time, and that's what I like about it. And of course, with the Super NES, they did not come with, USB controllers, but the controller I have is USB, so that I can connect it to my computer. And that's kind of the controllers that I have. Yes, it is quite a few controllers. I also have keyboards and mice, and like I said before, I've got a Rat9 mouse for first-person shooter games. I've got an old 2011 Black Widow from Razer for the same purpose. But for most PC gaming, I use an ergonomic keyboard and mouse. So I'm definitely glad that the newer controllers in that respect, and that's all of the newer controllers that are designed today, are very ergonomic. Like this one, it's very round, it's very comfortable in your hand. It doesn't hurt to use it for hours on end. That's what I like about it. Same thing with this one, is ergonomics in design, ergonomics in mind. And then all the rest of them were basically, they did some ergonomics with the PS2, but not a lot. PS1, they didn't really care about ergonomics. This was the design they came up with. And then, of course, your older styles obviously didn't care about being ergonomic in any way. But they are what they are, and they work for the systems that I have. And of course, way back in the 70s, these controllers here. The one thing that I do kind of like about these controllers, just the basic stick, is that it is a stick controller, and it also works with the old flying games, just as well as it does with all the other games from that time. Only one button, pretty simple. You got a stick and a button. Makes it easy. And then of course, your Nintendos, they weren't ergonomically designed in any way either. But you got your 4 buttons, they're color coded, you got your directional pads, your start select. They're very basic, but they definitely could have used with an ergonomic upgrade. And they do make them today ergonomic, and I'm thinking about getting an ergonomic upgrade of this controller. But they don't have anything as far as an ergonomic upgrade for this one or for this one. But they do for this one, which kind of surprised me. That's why I've been looking at them lately. I might go ahead and get one of those because I definitely like the ergonomic stuff much better than I do the older style. As long as you don't play for very long, it doesn't really matter. But this is, the old controller where they talk about gamer thumb. This is why. Because they were not designed with your carpal tunnel self in mind at all. And they didn't even realize that it was a possibility, most likely. It just wasn't something that they concerned themselves with back in the day. when they were developing these older systems. But today, they do, and I appreciate them for it. Well, that's my rant for the day, and I hope you enjoy the rest of yours.